Everything that's making news in your world. But in the world of business, this really is a red letter day with a big shake-up at Bombay House. I'm Supriya Shrinate right here in New Delhi, and joining me all the way in Mumbai is Sandeep Gurumurthi.
Hi there, Supriya. It's a sensational twist in one of India's oldest and most storied business houses. The Tata Group has sacked its chairman Cyrus Mistry 4 years after he inherited a somewhat jaded business empire. A top board member has gone on record to admit that Mistry was sacked due to non-performance. Ratan Tata will take charge for the next 4 months, while a 5-member panel that includes Tata himself will look for a suitable replacement.
Even as the Tata Group looks to find a leader of its choice, Cyrus Mistry's fall from grace is likely to open a can of worms. Shapurji Palonji Group, one of the Tata Group's largest investors and shareholders, has already called today's sacking illegal, and it seems it could turn out to be a long-drawn and a bitter boardroom and courtroom battle at the same time. The casualty could well be the image of the Tata Group. The big shake-up at one of India's marquee business houses is the top story right here on India Tonight.
Tracking that big story is our entire team of reporters led by ET Now's corporate editor Abhinava Das, joining us from our newsroom in Mumbai. We've got Ashwin Mohan, Vijay Iyer right outside the Bombay House, Darshan Mehta analyzing the market impact, and Pooja Sarkar as well with the inside scoop on what really happened. Abhinava, to you first. This is an announcement that's taken everyone by surprise, including many top Tata Group officials themselves. It's a sensational twist, really. Tell us, how did it all unfold?
It's a huge development in the Tata Group. I mean, if you look at it, a chairman getting sacked 4 years into his tenure. And more importantly, there was not a sign that something like this is going to happen. But more importantly, Ratan Tata makes a comeback as the interim chairman. I mean, nobody was expecting Ratan Tata to make a comeback to the Tata Group. In fact, there is a 5-member search panel which has been appointed. I mean, that includes Mr. Tata himself, which will find the successor or the next chairman for the Tata Group. But more importantly, this is a development which has taken everybody by surprise. If you look at the way the whole thing happened, I mean, today the board took a decision to sack Cyrus Mistry. In fact, this was not something that is unanimous. We were given to understand that out of the 8 board members, we are not including Chairman Cyrus Mistry here, out of the 8 members, 6 voted for the ouster of Mistry and 2 abstained. That's something which is very, very, very critical given the fact, given the kind of enormity, that effect that it has on the Tata Group. But more importantly, Ratan Tata is back in business. On taking charge, he disbanded the entire Group Executive Council. We were given to understand the 2 members, Mukund Rajan and Harish Bhatt, they will be there for alternative responsibilities. Absolutely no clarity on the roles of Nirmala Kumar, NS Rajan and Madhu Kannan. In fact, Ratan Tata is taking stock. He is meeting the group CEOs tomorrow. Also present in the meeting will be Mr. Rajan and Harish Bhatt. So it's a huge development for the Tata Group, something that the markets never anticipated. Something of this grade has never happened in corporate India.
Oh, of course, it's an unprecedented day as far as Indian corporate history is concerned. But let's take this across to Pooja Sarkar, who's standing by with more exclusive details that she broke right here on ET Now a while back. Ratan Tata and Cyrus Mistry were not known to be the best of buddies or best of friends there, not on the best of terms. What really happened? This couldn't have happened also abruptly or also immediately. Was this in the making for a while there, Pooja? What exactly are you picking up?
Indeed, Supriya, we do understand from our sources that it has been, that over the last 6 to 8 months, there has been some tussles that was going on between Cyrus Mistry and Ratan Tata. And we do understand that, on August 25th and August 26th, over the 2 days, Ratan Tata, actually there were 3 new board members who were inducted in the company in Tata Sons board. They were Venu Srinivasan, Ajay Piramal and Amit Chandra. To be noted that Venu Srinivasan and Amit Chandra are part of now the new search committee. They're part of the board member. There were only 6 board members before. Now there are 9 board members. So if you see the construct, there are a larger number of board members that came into play, and these are 3 key people who are on the side of Ratan Tata. They are the wingman for Ratan Tata, to say so at this point in time, and these are the guys who are going to find the new chairman who has to be inducted in the next 4 months' time. Thus, this has been in the play for a long time. It's not an overnight, it's not a month's game also. It's been going on over the last 6 months. It has been a well thought out process, and it is now taking shape in a larger way.
Right, Pooja, Abhi, stay with us. Let's take it across to Bombay House, the epicenter of all the action. Ashwin, Vijay Iyer reporting live from Bombay House all evening. The first crew to really reach there and get a sense of the drama unfolding. Ashwin and Vijay, various legs to the story here. Before we touch upon the legal aspect, first tell us, where is Ratan Tata? Where is Cyrus Mistry? Who is at Bombay House? Is it wearing a deserted look right now? What's the action in the Bombay House? And then, of course, we'll talk about the legal tussle that's going to follow from here on.
That's right, Sandeep, you hit the nail on the head. Bombay House is indeed wearing a deserted look. In fact, you might be interested to know that we spoke to a few employees, and they're also shell-shocked with this sudden reversal in fortunes. As far as Chairman Cyrus Mistry is concerned, there is a mixture of anxiety, there is a mixture of confusion, because as of now, it still hasn't trickled down properly, because the press statement did not specify any solid reason. Any explicit reason wasn't in fact highlighted as part of the press statement. So clearly the impression here at the Bombay House, and at least among some of the employees we spoke to, is that Mr. Mistry was indeed given an unceremonious exit. We're talking about the chairman of a $103 billion salt to steel conglomerate. Which brings me in fact to my next aspect, which is the legal aspect. If there is in fact a legal foothold in this for the Shapurji Palonji Mistry family, and if they believe that Cyrus Mistry was indeed sacked without due process, without a hearing, and in an arbitrary manner, then of course they can knock the doors of the appropriate legal forum. In fact, under the Companies Act, there are clauses which provide support to such individuals who, if they believe that the majority of the board suppress the minority of the board, then under certain sections you can in fact go ahead and file a necessary lawsuit, either at the Company Law Tribunal or in fact at the Bombay High Court. In fact, Vijay now joins me for more details on this. Vijay, what do you make of the state in which this entire episode has unraveled so far? 4 years back, Ratan Tata wasn't really part of the selection committee. Now he is part of the selection committee, so it can be safely assumed that it would be his man and he would be steering the entire selection process.
Absolutely, at the face of it, it looks like that. Clearly, Ratan Tata is not only going to be the interim chairman for the next 4 months, the time frame given for the selection committee to select the next chairman for Tata Group, but also we need to understand Ratan Tata is the chairman for Tata Trust at this point of time, and Tata Trust hold close to 2/3 of the shares of Tata Sons. So clearly there's a lot of influence of Ratan Tata on the boards and the divisions of Tata Sons. So
and the ripple effects on the listed companies as well.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, Cyrus Mistry, being a chairman of Tata Sons, was a chairman of Tata Steel, Tata Motors, say Indian Hotels, so on and so forth. The question is, would he continue or would he resign, and we see more board meetings happening of these listed companies, and what's going to be the arrangement? Would Ratan Tata become an interim chairman till they have a full-time chairman? So a lot of questions, but clearly somewhere more than the financial aspects and the growth prospects of the group, it was a boardroom battle that was brewing, and clearly the Tata Trust was not in sync with many of the decisions being taken by Cyrus as the chairman of Tata Sons, and clearly this has not happened overnight. Things have not been in place for a while, and clearly there was a plan that was being made, and clearly that was made public today after the board meeting. So clearly lot that more than meets the eye, but clearly Tata Trust, Ratan Tata and also Tata Sons will have to answer and get some clarity, because clearly the ambiguity and questions are only increasing after what they have made public.
Absolutely. In fact, early indications are that the Tata Group wasn't really comfortable with the belt-tightening measures that were unleashed by Cyrus Mistry when he took over. In fact, there were 4 divestitures, only 1 big acquisition. So perhaps it didn't go down well. His entire strategy of making Tata a leaner and meaner conglomerate, that perhaps did not go down well. But because there was no explicit reason, one can safely assume that perhaps this is going to boil down into a big-time legal slugfest between the Tatas and the non-Tatas.
All right, let's for a moment leave the slugfest aside and take that story forward, because such is life. Ratan Tata is back at the helm of affairs. Cyrus Mistry will have to go. But the spotlight will be on who will it be next. And Abhi, already the names that were previously doing the rounds when the first such search committee was looking for people like Indra Nui, N. Chandrasekharan are back in the reckoning. Do we have any names just yet? Because most commentators who were on the channel all through this evening when that big story did break on ET Now did continue to say that they should look beyond the community. It's a global empire. They should be open to getting global or even local talent, but look beyond the community. Do you believe the Tata Group is willing to make the departure from tradition just yet?
Well, Supriya, the names of Chandra, Indira Nui have been doing the round since the announcement came today. But yes, I mean, when it comes to managing a group as diversified as the Tatas, I mean, it's time that the group looks beyond beyond some key Indian professionals to manage such a diversified group. And given the fact, the kind of international operations that Tata Group has, the kind of operations overseas the Tata Steel, Tata Motors have, it's only natural that the group should look beyond the Indian boundaries to find talent to who can manage a diversified group like the Tatas. But on a positive note, Ratan Tata is clearly aware of the challenges that the group is facing right now. Because although many would say that today's problems, the problems like Tata Steel Europe, the problems of telecom, is not entirely his own making. So Ratan Tata, these are things which were there even when Ratan Tata was at the helm. So to an extent, he is aware of the complexities about the issues that the group faces at this point in time. And since Ratan Tata is also part of the select panel, so obviously the panel will take that into account and make sure someone who comes in who has the right expertise to lead a group like the Tatas.
Let's assess the performance of Cyrus Mistry with pure numbers. Darshan joins in to do just that from our research test. Darshan, Cyrus took over in 2012. How has this tenure panned out for the Tata Group companies if you were to look at just the market cap performance of the listed Tata entities?
So Cyrus Mistry took over as the chairman of Tata Sons in 2012 December, and since then, you know, if you're looking at the performance of some of the stocks of the Tata Groups, some of them have outperformed and some of them have actually moved in much beyond what he could have imagined. There is only one stock which gave a negative return, and that was Tata Power, which is down 16%. The marked outperformer is Tata Elxsi, which is up over 500%. So 515% is the return that Tata Elxsi is given. India's largest company, TCS, has managed to double its market cap under Cyrus Mistry. It has moved up almost 100%. The other company which have moved over 100% are Indian Hotels, which has moved up almost 110%. There is Tata Communication, which has moved up 197%. The other big group company, Tata Motors, which is one of their large cap, has moved almost 85%. Tata Steel has given a mediocre performance given how the performance is there in Europe. It's up just 10%. Indian Hotels is up 109%. Trent Rallis are up almost 64%. Tata Chemicals is up 84%. Titan is up 38%. And Tata Investment, which is the holding company for most of these stocks, is up 52%. So most of the counters have managed to give a very good return over the past 4 years under Cyrus Mistry. As far as what Cyrus Mistry did, as far as some of the M&A that was concerned, Tata Communications sold Neotel. That was one of the major transactions that happened. Tata Chemicals sold the urea business for almost 2,700 crores. Indian Hotels sold the Taj Boston Group for almost 834 crores. That was the big M&A transaction in Indian Hotels. Tata Steel sold part of its UK operations to Grey Bull, and only one acquisition was done in the meantime, and that was Tata Power acquiring Welspun Renewable Energy for almost 9,000 crores. And incidentally, Tata Power was the only counter which ended with negative returns during the reign of Cyrus Mistry.
All right, Darshan Mehta, Ashwin Mohan, Vijay Ganeshan Iyer, Abhinab Das and Pooja Sarkar, thank you very much for putting every leg of that story in perspective. That's a story that you first heard on ET Now and every angle covered right here on this channel. Thank you very much indeed for all of you for being with us this evening and all through this evening on the channel. But let's take it forward with experts and views that matter. We've got prominent names, KTS Tulsi, Hitesh Jain, Swaminathan Iyer and Suhail Seth all join us right here on ET Now to discuss that big story. And thank you each one of you for sparing time this evening and being with us. Mr. Tulsi, let's first begin with you. You're not just a lawyer, you're also a parliamentarian. You've seen how corporates work for a very long time in India. Many people believe this is a red letter day as far as Indian corporate history is concerned. This is unprecedented. The chairman of Tata Sons, or the chairman of the Tata Empire, being ousted the way he has been. Ratan Tata making a brief comeback. Was this unthinkable? Were you taken by surprise? Were you shocked? Did you see this in the making at all? Because many people believe there was non-performance. Let's leave that aside for a moment. But the way it was done, the way this entire exercise was conducted, did this leave you, did it leave a lot to be desired, really?
I think all the efforts were made to ensure that this is a smooth transition. An option was given to Mr. Cyrus Mistry to resign, but he did not agree to that. Even in the past, one hears that Mr. Ratan Tata's advice was taken to be interference, and he invariably said that I know how to do my job. There was you see, that kind of a response to a person who took the Tata Empire from 10,000 crore in 1991 to 4,75,000 crore. That's the exponential growth that the group had during the reign of Mr. Ratan Tata. And obviously, he would be concerned about the manner in which these are leadership issues. These are the different philosophy. Perhaps Mr. Cyrus Mistry was given full 5 years. But if his philosophy did not match with that of the board, then the board has every right to replace him with another person. And I believe that there were all the directors. 6-0 was the motion that was carried in the board because it was forced on the board. Mr. Mistry said that he would rather face the board than walk away himself or tender the resignation, because he continues to be a director. But 6-0 was there, and there were 2 abstentions. This was a board meeting where all the directors were present. So I don't see as to why Mr. Mistry would force upon the board this kind of a thing. It did not happen because the incumbent was also sensitive enough to the reputation of the group. Now these are the attitudes of different persons, perceived the strategies that are adopted as compared to the growth philosophy of Mr. Ratan Tata. It was the trimming which was the hallmark of Mr. Cyrus Mistry's regime of 5 years. And perhaps they did not agree and see eye to eye on these issues of strategy and the issues of the philosophy of the group.
Sure. Mr. Tulsi, you seem to have a fairly detailed sort of insider account as to what could have happened. We've got Suhail Seth also in the panel, who's known Ratan Tata for years. Suhail, your reaction to this piece of news, did this take you by surprise? Were you shocked? Because having known Ratan Tata, one would look at it, the way the whole thing is transpired, seemed, the casualty could well be the Tata brand. So what do you think could be the reasons why Ratan Tata and the board themselves have taken such a drastic step?
Mr. Tata was never just the chairman of Tata Sons. He was the custodian of the value architecture of the House of Tata. And as Mr. Tulsi has very rightly said, it pains people to look for a replacement when they've selected that person or they've been part of that selection process. So obviously, let's establish the fact that Mr. Tata had moved on. He moved on to a life where he supported young people who were starting out, where he made investments in them. He lent his name, he lent his stature. More importantly, he lent his conviction. So that's where you begin. Why would someone do these things, or why would someone take this kind of step? And I want to clarify for the media, because the media has gone at times a bit berserk. Ratan Tata doesn't sit on the Tata Sons board. But the people who sit are people of impeccable credentials. Ajay Piramal, Venu Srinivasan, Nitin Noria. You've got people like Ronan Sen, the former Indian ambassador to the US. So these aren't pushovers. These aren't people who do your bidding. And as Mr. Tulsi rightly said, it wasn't a Ratan Tata decision. The only decision Ratan Tata took was once again in the interests of the House of Tata is to agree to return. Do you think Ratan Tata is not aware of the storm this will create or has created? But you know, he's the kind of person who once said when Singur was foisted on him that I'm the man, you can hold a gun to my head, you either fire the gun or you move away, but I'm not going to budge. He's a man of deep conviction. The House of Tata is over a century old, founded by Jamshedji Nasarwanji Tata, in whose imprint was give back to society, give with compassion, and build excellence. So there must have been issues related to performance. There may have been issues related to governance. There may have been issues related to a myriad things which you and I, frankly, at this hour don't know. But to conjecture that this was an ousting, you know, sometimes we use English in a manner to sensationalize rather than to communicate. It wasn't an ousting. It was a civilized board meeting, as all board meetings should be. And at that board meeting, 6-0 was the score, as Mr. Tulsi rightly said. 6 people decided that Mr. Mistry, and you know, you've got to also respect Cyrus for that, but Mr. Mistry was not seen by the board as the natural custodian of the Tata brand as its chairman. As simple. To read more and more into this, to my mind, is a bit obtuse and quite unnecessary. I personally, having worked with the House of Tata, worked with Mr. Tata has 2 traits. One is a huge regard for a value architecture and a huge stubbornness in not sacrificing that value culture. I have nothing to do with the House of Tata. I have never owned a share in my life of any company. I personally, as a citizen of India, am delighted that he's back at the helm of a group every Indian trusts and every Indian admires.
Right.
He is back to take the group to its next accomplished level.
Sure.
And as I said earlier on your channel and to your group, in the last few years, Mr. Tata has gained invaluable experience on the digital world, which will augur well for his leadership of the House of Tata.
Sure. Let's get in Swaminathan Iyer's view as well. We've got both Mr. Tulsi and Sohail Seth who broadly agree that this is probably on account of non-performance, that we in the media should not read too much to it, even though it seems sensational that a chairman of the board was removed since Sohail objected to the use of the word ouster. Swami, how are you reading it? Is it just us journalists who are trying to sensationalize the way things have unfolded? Or do you think it was just a case of non-performance because of which the board in its collective wisdom, and like Sohail pointed out, this is a very, very, competent board comprising of some very, very illustrious names. So the board in its collective wisdom felt that Cyrus Mistry needed to be replaced. How are you reading this?
Well, the very fact that there's a 6-0 vote means it cannot be called some kind of coup based on internal machinations. There appears to be a vote of no confidence on the basis of non-performance. The problem is none of us knows when Cyrus Mistry was appointed, what was he expected to do? What were the performance indicators that the board expected him to fulfill? There is no clarity on that. We don't seem to know what were the benchmarks, what were the standards set for Cyrus Mistry to achieve. Only if we know that, are we in a position to comment on how close or how far was he from the ideals that he was set out to do. So we do not know to what extent there were any shortcomings. Until we know that, I think we are still entirely in the realm of speculation. What can be said is that a number of Tata companies have been underperforming, no doubt about it. The group as a whole really has been propped up by TCS and to some extent by Jaguar Land Rover from abroad, which is not directly controlled by Tata Sons. So all I can say is that Underperformance, definitely there is. But underperformance is not new. It has been a problem for some time. Tata Steel, Tata Motors have not been doing well in the Indian operations at all. Tata Power has not done well at all. Tata Telecom has been a disaster. So, I mean, when you look around at the Tata performance, yes, there has been underperformance. Yes, some heads need to roll. Nevertheless, the question is, when Cyrus Mistry was called upon to put Tatas into shape, did the board lay out certain performance parameters for him to follow? Until we know what those were, it is really difficult for us to say whether Cyrus Mistry fell short and therefore that is why his head has rolled, or whether there are any other reasons.
All right, that's a fair point that you're talking about, which is performance parameters and did he really fulfill his KRAs or fall short of them. But in light of the KRAs not being known publicly, I want to take this across to Gurucharan Das. And Gurucharan Das, the larger view out there is, and the commentary that has come all evening is that there was no immediate plan for growth. There was a delay in decision making. Docomo, and especially the way that entire issue was handled, was not in keeping with the Tata spirit and ethos. What really cost Cyrus Mistry his job? The fact that he tried to undo a lot of what Ratan Tata did, or the fact that he actually went against the ethos or the culture of the Tata Empire. In his own defense, he said he wanted the sluggishness to go away, but many people thought he tried to do things way too quickly.
Well, you know, I always thought that his appointment, Cyrus Mistry's appointment, was a risky one. They did a global search, and after that global search, for a top-notch professional, they settled on Cyrus Mistry's record is that it's of a construction company, mid-level to head from there the large.
Right. There seems to be some issue with Mr. Gurucharan Das's audio, and we'll go back to him as soon as we fix that. But Swami, that was the larger question that I was really raising, that yes, the performance parameters need to be taken care of and KRAs need to be known so that he could be assessed against them. But did he try to undo a lot of the M&A strategy? Did he try to undo a lot of what Ratan Tata had really created for the group without really trying to fix it? And especially the handling of Docomo leaves a lot to be desired, really.
Maybe.
Swami.
But all I can say is that I do not know why he has been sacked yet. I do know he has been sacked. I have seen no explanation of what was it that he was expected to do and in what way he has fallen short of that. So I am not inclined to speculate on where exactly he fell short or how he fell foul of that. I would like to just say that, you know, even on the issues, I mean, somebody else was talking about the great emphasis of Ratan Tata on ethics and so. Excuse me, but I mean, has that person heard the radio tapes? Is he aware of the kind of laughing and sniggering that has gone on about Ratan Tata and about Ratan Tata's so-called espousal of various values? So the idea that there was some nice Ratan Tata values which have been spoiled by Cyrus Mistry, excuse me, we need a much greater investigation into what exactly has happened and what the frictions were. Until we know that, I really would not like to make any pronouncement on what really the real reasons why he's been ousted.
Yes, in the absence of more information, what we can do now is only speculate. But let's talk about the facts of the matter. And I want to get in Hitesh Jain for a legal view, because what's clear is this is headed for a bitter boardroom and courtroom battle. Hitesh Jain, comment on the legality of what has happened right now. On the face of it, it seems absolutely legal that the board, in its collective wisdom, took a decision to replace the chairman, and the vote was 6-0. So it's absolutely, there's no ambiguity there. Comment on the legality of this aspect, because now we're hearing comments from the Shapurji group saying that they're going to contest this, saying that they were not given 15 days notice. So how do you view this from a purely legal point of view?
Well, 2, 3 quick points. One, this is a cold-blooded, calculated decision. Now, Suhail mentioned about 6-0 fine, that is a 6-0 vote. But it is not a case that the board independently gathered and they took the decision. Yes, they are independent members in their own right. They are the people whose opinion cannot be influenced. But the fact is, there are a report that are appearing that the legal advice was sought. So it is if you want to put the scheme of the things, so basically a decision was made, legal advice was sought, the legal advice was presented to the board, and the board acted in accordance with the script that was decided, and accordingly a decision has been taken. Now this is about what has really happened. Now as regards legality is concerned, now chairman per se enjoys the confidence of the board of directors, and it is up to and if the chairman does not enjoy the confidence of the board of directors, then the articles gives the power to the board to take the decision and appoint some other person as a chairman. Frankly speaking, per se legal ground it's going to be very difficult for Cyrus Mistry to contest. This is not a case where he has been removed as a director of the company. If he has been removed as a director of the company, then there are strong protections that are available for a director under the Companies Act, including show cause notice. You have to show a sufficient cause and everything. But as far as chairperson is concerned, a chairperson enjoys the confidence of the board, and unless the articles of the company otherwise requires certain formalities or procedures to be observed, the directors are well within the rights to remove him. Now, one thing is also very clear apparently from the statement, that since there is a contest that is being tried to be made, that the removal is illegal. But according to me, if it is going to be on the technicalities that no notice given or grounds not furnished and all, one has to also look at the shareholding pattern where the Tata Trust is enjoying the majority. So according to me, if a challenge is based on the technicalities of the notice and all, I don't think that's really going to cut the ice. But if the challenge is going to be beyond the technicalities of show cause notice and principle of natural justice, then today we are speculation, but one will have to wait and watch as to on what ground they would like to challenge. Because as far as what has happened in the meeting, the notice or the resolutions that is passed, I think only the 6 wise men who were present in the board meeting and Cyrus Mistry, he is aware. So from the legal standpoint, today only thing what we can see is that if the board of directors, they have sufficient power to remove him as a chairperson of the company.
That because Hitesh was referring to some of the comments that you made. He's saying that while legally it seems that they are covered, so to say, but it seemed like a pre-scripted move. The fact that a legal opinion was sought, subsequently presented to the board, and then the board took a decision to get rid of its chairman Cyrus Mistry. Comment on that. Do you agree with the way Hitesh Jain is interpreting the situation? Suhail, that's for you.
Well, you know, I'm a great believer, and many lawyers are my friends, but lawyers specialize in finding problems to solutions. That's how they exist. You know, Hitesh very rightly, from a legal standpoint, analyzed the issues, but then injected a conspiracy theory. We always have a conspiracy theory for everything in this country, including a traffic light not working. I think it's in the realm of conjecture. Swami rightly said that perhaps we need to wait. We need to wait to understand what the issues were, what prompted this decision, to then, you know, place it under the magnet of guile and machinations and, you know, Machiavellian designs, to my mind, is a bit obtuse and very premature. I think this is a board of very competent people, people who have their own respect, their own standing in society and in industry, people who are inspirational in their own right. They wouldn't want to be cast under aspersions of this kind. So I think to assume a conspiracy angle in itself is a bit obtuse, if not premature.
All right, it's still very obtuse and not premature. But KTS Tulsi, because he's a lawyer also on board, and Suhail, much that you say that lawyers find problems to solutions, it's important to get a legal perspective on this matter. Shapurji Palonji is likely to file a caveat in 2 locations, the National Company Law Tribunal and, of course, the Bombay High Court. Do they really have a strong legal case there, or is this a case of being snubbed? And the other point, Mr. Tulsi, it's important to point out here that Shapurji Palonji is actually the the largest shareholders of Tata Sons. Will it be easy for a new man to survive with such acrimonious relationship? The way Cyrus Mistry has been ousted, in will come the new man, and Shapurji Pallonji continues to be the largest shareholder. Is that going to be easy at all?
You see, in the government, there is something known as the doctrine of pleasure. And the high offices are occupied only during, so long as the pleasure of the president exists. Now, this is something similar, the corporate management. And the management is vested in the board of directors, and the board takes a decision. The technicality with regard to notice is necessary only when you want to call a meeting for a particular purpose. Then 15 days notice for the purpose of either removal of chairman or replacement or interim arrangement. But when there is no such, when the meeting is already going on and all the directors are present, then this technicality pales into insignificance. What would have happened after 15 days? I don't think anyone is going to be naive enough to wade into litigation over this issue, because the result is foreclosed by the manner in which the vote took place. So in any case, this is going to be a hot seat. It is not easy to sit in that chair which was occupied by Mr. Ratan Tata, who performed so remarkably well. One of the biggest market industry leaders in the world. Anyone who sits there is going to be compared with his predecessor, Mr. Ratan Tata. There is going to be difficulties, but nevertheless, we will wait and see as to who comes and how he performs.
Right. Mr. Tulsi, Mr. Seth, Gurcharan Das as well, still with us, Swaminathan Ayer, Hitesh, and please stay with us because we're breaking a big story on what's going to happen next. This is a sensational legal twist to what's going on as a fallout of this boardroom tussle. We've been given to understand that Shapurji Pallonji is going to challenge the removal of Cyrus Mistry, and they're going to move two courts simultaneously. Ashwin Mohan, Vijay Iyer breaking the story, joining us live from right outside Bombay House. Ashwin, Vijay, what are you guys picking up? What's the next legal move that's going to happen in this big story?
Sandeep, this is a late evening break on this bitter legal slugfest, and this is likely to pan out in the next few days. This could clearly be round one of the legal battle between the Shapurji Pallonji Mistry Group and the Tatas. During the course of our coverage today, we have been pointing out how if the Mistry Group felt that the entire manner in which Cyrus Mistry was replaced was unfair, arbitrary, or if it was done without due course of hearing, then he could exercise legal options. What we're now given to understand, as you're correctly pointing out, is that the Shapurji Pallonji Mistry Group is likely to in fact exercise two legal options, two legal forums. And for more on that, we're now joined by Vijay Ganeshan Iyer. Vijay, tell us, which are the two legal forums that the Shapurji Pallonji Mistry Group is likely to challenge, and why?
Ashwin, as you're rightly pointing out, as you're just putting out the story, what we gather is that Bombay High Court and the National Company Law Tribunal are both the options being explored as we speak by the SP Group. The reason being, a writ can be filed in the Bombay High Court, and the decision or the resolution passed by today's board of Tata Sons can be challenged in the National Company Law Tribunal. Now, the whole objective of NCLT of the Companies Act was to ensure that there's an expedite hearing on all such board matters, and that is where legal sources are saying us that they are opting for both the options. The writ petition in High Court might take some time before it's heard, and maybe an ex parte judgment is passed. So clearly they are looking at both the options, moving the Bombay High Court on one man by filing the writ, and clearly challenging the Tata Sons decision at the National Company Law Tribunal. That is one part of it. But we can confirm and say that this may happen tomorrow or day after. But from Tata Group's perspective, Tata Sons will file the caveat in Bombay High Court and the National Company Law Tribunal. The reason being, they want to make it sure any order being or heard or being passed in this particular matter Tata board needs to be given a hearing before the courts pass any order.
Absolutely,
so
Vijay.
what we are gathering.
So essentially, what the Tata Group will try to do is that it will try to ring fence itself against any potential litigation from the Shapurji Palomji Mistry Group, and that is the reason why we're picking up from highly placed sources within the Tata Group that they're likely to file a caveat to avoid any ex-party orders. What a caveat means is that if I were to file a caveat tomorrow at the Bombay High Court or the National Company Law Tribunal, then because I've filed that caveat, I will be heard, and without hearing me, there can be no order passed against me based on a case filed by any other party. So that in a nutshell is what we understand is going to be the next stage of this legal slugfest. Top lawyers are likely to be, in fact, roped in. Senior counsels will be roped in both from Delhi and
Actually, if I
Mumbai.
could just add, as you're rightly pointing out, although it's not to be right on our part to take names, top senior counsel from Delhi are already placed in Mumbai because there was an anticipation of a legal tussle after the board decision today. So clearly Ratan Tata is also taking advice at his personal capacity, and also Tata Sons has their own legal team. So clearly everyone is, as we speak, discussing and in closed door meetings to accordingly take the caveat decisions on Tata boards and of course the SP group. So all eyes on now on SP Group, whether it be tomorrow or day after, would they move both the forums simultaneously or they stick to NCLT or Bombay High Court?
Vijay, another aspect that we need to keep in mind is that we have seen a similar boardroom tussle, which was about the ouster of one person from the board, and that of course is the famous Yes Bank tussle, Rana Kapoor versus Madhu Kapoor. That was also perhaps on similar grounds, not as much as to the scale of this particular unexpected event, but that was also on similar grounds, and perhaps that case will throw in some light on the future of this particular litigation and what are the grounds on which Cyrus Mistry can protect himself, because as we see it today, based on the Tata Sons press release, he has been given a rather unceremonious exit, and what we understand is that he will definitely try to challenge what has been done today by the Tata Sons board by taking legal recourse.
And quickly I should add here, as you're rightly pointing out the Yes Bank case, just the last case of corporate boardroom battle, we need to understand NCLT laws, the whole concept of National Company Law Tribunal to test courtroom battles will also be put to test, because this would be one of the biggest case landing up at NCLT as and when they file it by the SP Group, because clearly till now it was only the Bombay High Court and perhaps the Supreme Court, but the whole objective of the New Companies Act and the NCLT would be tested in this particular courtroom.
So clearly the message coming here from Bombay House is that it is likely to be a two-pronged legal approach by the Shapurji Palomji Mistry Group. They're going to simultaneously move both the Bombay High Court and the National Company Law Tribunal. It's not been filed as yet, but it is likely to happen within this week, and the Tata Group of course is likely to take legal recourse and file a caveat. So clearly, as Vijay is pointing out over here, the next 48 hours will mark the next leg as far as this big boardroom tussle is concerned.
The next 48 hours will indeed be very crucial, and Hitesh Jain, it's time to take that entire story that we broke to you right here on ET Now. We were just discussing this, and it looks like the boardroom battle is going to in fact spill into the courtrooms. What do you make of the story that we just put out? A caveat by the Tata Group, Shapurji Palonji approaching the National Company Law Tribunal and also the courts. A lot of the efficacy of the laws that still exist out to be tested right now. Hitesh?
Well, I mean, once Shapurji Palonji Group has taken a position that the removal is illegal, the natural course of action is to challenge the decision before the courts. I mean, either you file a civil suit or you approach the company law tribunal. In my view, I don't see them moving simultaneously while the caveats are filed, just to ensure that, I mean, all the corners are ticked and make sure that, you don't miss out the forum. But the more likelihood of the, you may see some action in the Bombay High Court if they decide to challenge. But as I mentioned before, purely on the technicalities of on the show cause notice or principles of natural justice, I don't think the Shapurji Palonji Group or Cyrus Mistry will really have any case to defend or to bring the challenge on the ground for the removal as a chairman, unless he has some grounds other than the principles of natural justice, which, I mean, today we can only speculate, but unless he is able to come with the grounds and unless he is able to show that the procedure in accordance with the articles was not followed by the board, it is an uphill task. The second point which I want to make today is Suhail mentioned about conspiracy. there is no conspiracy. I mean, the board is well within the right. It is the action of the shareholder. The shareholder also is well within the right to take the legal advice, script a proper strategy, ensure that when you remove a person, you follow the process of law, so that in future, if someone challenges the action before the court, such action, you have been able to justify the challenge and removal. So if such actions have been taken and the board has followed the written script, I don't see any conspiracy. In fact, this is a calculated decision, and I think, as Mr. Tulsi said, at the end of the day, a chairman always enjoys the confidence of the board, and ultimately the board also and also backed by the decisions of the shareholders. So it clearly looks like a decision which has been taken very carefully. All the legal complexities would have been perhaps been debated, and after considering all the possibilities, when they were unable to get an amicable resignation from Cyrus Mistry, they knew the inevitable step for taking the decision in the board meeting. I think the board and the company was prepared that such action will be challenged in the court. So in the court, you will see the real script as to what really happened in the board meeting, what was the process that was followed, and why he was removed. So from that perspective, I mean, it will be interesting to see how the proceedings will turn out in the court.
So before I toss it to Suhail, and just to speak in his defense, one could say that chairman should enjoy the confidence of the board. The other way of looking at it is that when the chairman doesn't enjoy the confidence of the board, that is when an event like this happens. But I want to get the legal angle covered before I come to you, Suhail. Mr. Tulsi, let's put an end to this legal debate. Do you believe there is any legal grounds? Clearly, Hitesh also pointing out that technically speaking, there isn't too much of a legal premise for Shapoorji Pallonji Group to move court and seek any sort of favorable order from either the Company Law Tribunal or the Bombay High Court. Is there any legal premise on the basis of which, either on the principles of natural justice or on any other section of the Company Act, which could, in a sense, give them a favorable, argument in the court?
It's difficult to comment because we know so little. We know only whatever is in public domain. We don't know the entire story. We don't know the internal affairs, and it will be wrong. It will be very rash for me to speculate on anything. All that I can say is that filing of the caveats, etc., these are normal precautionary measures. That we can't read much into this as to whether anybody has decided to go to court or not. All this will be examined in much greater detail, and all the background material will be examined by all sides. Only thereafter, I think, a decision will be taken. No decision is going to be taken in a rush. All these things will be well considered before anyone steps out into the arena of the court or the tribunal.
Mr. Tulsi, just before I take it forward with Swaminathan Iyer and Suhail Seth, I want to get a quick clarification just for the benefit of our viewers here, because there's been some internal dialogue that people have had. That what does the ouster from Tata Sons chairmanship mean? Is he automatically out of the chairmanship of listed entities as well? Because tomorrow there will be trade and these companies will react. So just want to understand, is that automatic, or does he continue till such time those AGMs happen and he's, till such time those companies decide individually? How does this really go from here on?
No, he continues to be the director. He will sit in the board and all the decisions, be party to all the decisions even in the future. Up till now, the decision that has been taken is not his removal from the board, but only being replaced as the chairman. Now, there is, even the CEOs of the companies have not yet been shifted or changed. This is a perfectly professional way of handling the switchover, and if at all this mere transition from one chairman to the other, and they're constituting a search committee, they look for an appropriate person, and eventually during the interim period, Mr. Ratan Tata will hold the field. I think it's very clearly thought out strategy. There is nothing which is going to be out of turn, and even if these decisions are taken by any party to approach the court, they'll be well considered on the basis of far more material than is available today.
Closing comments. So here I want to come back to you. You want to react to what Hitesh was saying, but the bigger picture, what is going to be the fallout of all this? It's now evident that there is going to be a bitter courtroom battle that's not going to do anybody any good, and definitely not the stakeholders of Tata Group as such. Surely there will be some sort of a collateral damage. What do you think will be the fallout of this entire episode?
So let me respond very quickly. I didn't use the word conspiracy myself. It was qua the comments that Hitesh made earlier, which like a good lawyer he changed later. Coming to collateral damage, personally I think none. For the following reasons. Number one, as Mr. Tulsi said and Swami alluded to it, we still don't know the details. What we do know is of the enormous faith that people have in Mr. Tata, the fact that it was handled professionally, the fact that it has been done transparently. Second, consumers engage with brands. They don't engage with boards. When was the last time you bought a product because you knew who the board member was? So I don't think that's going to impact the brands. People are not going to stop staying at the Taj because the board has altered. Finally, I think this is a step in the right direction. There must have been issues serious enough, painful enough for this to have happened. Now that this has happened, rather than conjecture, rather than be, the soothsayers of doom, let's wait for things to unfold. As far as the courtroom battle is concerned, you have two lawyers on the panel, one who very eruditely, Mr. Tulsi, has said that from a legal point of view, nothing is amiss. If battles have to be fought, we in India have a robust judicial system. That system has never let the country down, and it won't again. It will act on material facts that are placed before it. So I think we don't need to jump the gun. What has happened today is an inflection point. To my mind, as a citizen, as a person who's been involved in the past, not now, with the House of Tata, I think it augurs well. You have the hand of stability, the hand of experience, and the hand of trust returning.
Mr. Gurucharan Das, the hand of trust has returned indeed, but the story has to go forward and it will only reach fruition when there is a new successor. Do you believe the Tatas are ready just yet to go beyond the community from where successors and group chairmen have come so far? Because that's a commentary that has really been made here on this channel itself all through this evening. Names are already doing the rounds, some very plausible ones, the kinds of Indira Nui and N. Chandrasekharan. Those were the names even in the first round itself. But what could the nature of the successor to Cyrus Mistry now be? Or is it too early to guess?
The most important fact is that the Cyrus Mistry came on after a global search for a professional head. And he was a high-risk decision. And I hope going forward, they will persist in hiring a professional. The fact is that Mr. Mistry, he's a shareholder, and he has experience in construction, etc. But he, at least most of us felt that he did not have the credentials of what it takes to be the head of India's largest company. And now I hope the message that, and we have the Infosys example where the company has been turned around by a professional. And so I hope that Tatas will now hire somebody, the best person, not just in India, but in the world, to head the House of Tata.
All right. There's also an important story that's coming in right now, and we are given to understand that Ratan Tata has hired two of India's top legal eagles to defend him in the fight against Cyrus Mistry. And I'm not surprised that Harish Salve is one of them, but Abhishek Manu Singhvi is the other. So that's an important story that's coming in, and it looks like legal defenses are being made on both sides. Swami, quick closing comments. Life is, of course, going to move on tomorrow morning, but stocks will react because listed entities will be impacted. The speculation over the succession will begin. How different will Ratan Tata be in his innings this time around for 4 odd months than he was previously? One of the things that I think Suhail pointed out earlier was that he has a lot of exposure to the digital world right now. That is something that Cyrus Mistry lacked, the Tata Group lacks as a whole. Do you think he's going to leverage a lot of that? Because the world has sure moved in that direction.
Well, as I said, we still don't know the details, but my guess would be that the reputation of the Tata Group as a whole has taken a knock and it will not recover easily. Second, it's all very well to say, let's go out and hire the best person in the world. The question is, why should the best person in the world agree to be CEO of Tata after seeing what happened to Cyrus Mistry? So, we need to have clarity on the exact circumstances on where he has left. I mean, if it appears that Cyrus Mistry was given a particular job to do and he fails to live up to it, then I think all that's happened can be explained. If, on the other hand, there remains this atmosphere of mystery and conspiracy and lack of clarity on why you got rid of somebody, then the question arises, why should anybody really good want to take up Cyrus Mistry's job? So I said, there is a question mark now against the Tata Group as a whole. And they need to clear the air with transparency and full details on what exactly has happened. Until we have that complete transparency, to leave things to conspiracies and guesses of various kinds would be a very bad thing for the Tatas to do. They really need to come clean and tell everybody exactly what happened, why it has happened.
I'm tempted to just continue this debate for a little longer because I think Swami's made a point, and I'm sure Suhail has a point of view as well. Suhail, you want to comment on what Swami is saying? Believes that the group's reputation will take a damage, and the Tata Group now needs to come clear on what has happened. Again, I want to place on record a comment made by Lord Kumar Bhattacharya, who's on the board of Tata Sons and who's also in the panel that's going to select the successor. And in a comment to an international publication, he said clearly, Swami, that Mistry has been sacked on account of non-performance. So that's a very, very clear comment being made by a board member. But Suhail, you want to comment on what Swami said?
No, I mean, Swami's views are Swami's views, and in this country we never counter or dare to counter a Swami. Having said that, I think there are two clear issues. Time will tell whether reputational damage will occur. Because as most of your panelists, including Hitesh, have said, that there was nothing wrong that was committed. No wrong was committed in the process. Was there a wrong committed in morality? No. So there has been no wrong. Yes, Swami is right. The reasons will appear, but for God's sake, the meeting ended at 5 p.m. We are at 10 p.m. In 5 hours, you can't expect the world to suddenly prepare a voluminous report on what happened at Bombay House. I think we need to be patient. We need to understand that this is not the House of Tata alone. It's a company that has flown Brand India's flag across the world with aplomb, with care, and with compassion. Give it some time and cut it some slack.
Give it time, and of course the story will continue to unfold. You have to keep watching ET Now for more perspective and details. But thank you, each one of you, for joining us this evening. Suhail Seth, Hitesh Jain, KTS Tulsi, Swaminathan Iyer and Gurcharan Das. We really appreciate you taking time out this evening and being with us on India Tonight. Sandeep.
Oh yes, tomorrow is going to be an action-packed day as well. Hopefully, like Suhail and Swami pointed out, we need more details on what has happened and why has it happened. Ratan Tata is meeting top Tata Group CEOs tomorrow and some key members of the GEC as well. And hopefully we'll get some color on the next course of action. In the meanwhile, of course, this is going to be a big legal story as well. Like you pointed out, 2 top lawyers being hired by the Tata Group. We'll have to wait and see what's the next move by the Shapoorji Pallonji Group as well. So this is going to be a fascinating story unfolding over the next few days, and I can tell our viewers that ET Now will be on top of all that breaks on this big story. Thanks so much for being with us this Monday evening on this special telecast. News and updates continue right here on ET Now.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ET Now, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ET Now Live. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ET Now.